Hi, everybody. It's me. Long time no see. um, so if you like this channel, please like and subscribe. There's a notifications bell that's down there. That'll let you know as to when I'm going live. I'm pretty sure you know how YouTube works. So I'm coming on today. I've had like a really hard couple of weeks, as I'm sure many people have. Some things that have been going on besides just humanity's horrific acts. It just gets, after a while, it just gets really ridiculous. But climate change. I want to talk about climate change. I want to talk about the ways in which we need to change things so that we have a healthy infrastructure for our communities. So the Pacific Northwest was hit by a heat wave. And I've lived down south for years before this. So for me, I was like, okay, I've gotten through this before. However, I got through it before with air conditioning. I got through it before with tools to keep cool. I got through it before because it was not prolonged. And where I live now is a very moderate climate, temperate climate, which means we don't usually have extremes in temperature. And so most people, while we have heat, because it can get very cold in the winter, most of us do not have central air or air conditioning. So what this means is that our vulnerable, which means our seniors, our disabled, our babies, our people with health impacts are in apartments and houses that are literally baking. And there are people who are living outside. And it has gotten past the point of believing that the onus is on the person who's vulnerable. Okay. As a community, to be a community, we all must work together. And that means all of us. That doesn't mean, okay, the wealthy work with the wealthy and the middle class work with the middle class. And, this classism that exists on a very real level in this country needs to stop, truly. So I want to say something, and I just want it to be out there. Number one, you can do nothing that makes you deserve human rights more than someone else. Human rights are your right if you were born on this planet. It doesn't matter. For some reason, again, as well, I have gotten comments and I have had conversations with people who somehow believe that their abilities or their work or what they do is much more important, more viable, harder than other people's. And I just want to counter that with everybody. We are really products of our environment. None of us go anywhere without the other. In other words, if I step outside right now, number one, my apartment, I didn't build it. Somebody else built this. Somebody else built this with the thought that someone would be living there. This someone is me. I walk down the street on sidewalks that somebody else built with the thought that I'd be walking on them. And this goes around and around for community. I think that there has been so much of an idea of charity versus human rights. And charity is the good enough kind of attitude, which leads to longer and more problems down the road. I'm going to address some comments real quick. Seattle Judy, hi, nice to see you here. It's been a minute since I've been on. I have just had like a really deep soul sadness. And so I finally got today to the point where I can discuss it and talk about it in a way that I feel is productive. So here I am. Ravenna. The heat wave made me pass out, and I'm originally from Florida, right? Ravenna, seriously. That was absolutely, I had to call out some coworkers because I'm furious. Like luckily I work in spheres right now where like I'm drafting a letter to city council and things like that because people need housing now. And to do any less is to deny the impact that all of us have on each other. The vulnerable, in other words, the impoverished, the disabled, they're the least responsible for these climate change impacts, but they are the most affected. And the effects are long lasting and end in death many, many times. But kicker, even if you think you're fine and you think you're healthy, you can have issues that you didn't know about until they got diagnosed, like heart impacts. A lot of people are finding out that they had heart issues after this heat wave. And I could go in and all of this to the study. Oh, thank you, Issaquah Jeans. I appreciate that. I could go into all of, physiology and why heat related illnesses are so devastating. But what I have to say is that we, at least us as a city, I cannot speak for other regions, but I know but I know for a fact some regions are the same, is that we keep dealing with these events independently. Like, we know in Washington, when we have hot years, and because of climate change and the heat, that we are now more prone to wildfires. And not just regular wildfires. I'm talking like wildfires wiping out towns. Wildfires whipping up mountains. Wildfires making our air quality so bad that people die. We can't individually keep acting on one wildfire. Because what's happening is there's becoming a cumulative effect of all of these, and it is hastening the death of people who don't need to die. And they don't need to die because they should have human rights afforded to them. And for some reason, and I'm going to get a little preachy about this, but people keep placing their wants above people's absolute need to live, like not just thrive, but live, like really live, not die. But we will, yay sports teams and yay this and everything else. But I guess I'm coming from the perspective of we can have our popsicles after we take care of everything. Like that's the after everything gets done stuff. And it isn't done because we have people dying on our streets, and it's not their fault. It's the impacts that have placed them there. It's a racial equity issue. I don't know if people know this, but disproportionately unhoused are people of color. There are so many things that go into this. So let me tell you how it's going to get fixed, right? Because I guess I would be amiss if I kept complaining about something and didn't offer a solution. So here's my solution. Universal housing vouchers based on income, not based on qualifications or whether you're sick or whatever. Universal housing vouchers. Everybody has a right to safe housing. The impacts of climate change will make it so that, and like it's like right now, if you're living outside, you're facing death. But the climate change will make it so that that'll hasten that along real quick. So I think that universal housing vouchers, with the understanding as well that permanent supportive housing isn't just for people who have been chronically homeless. Permanent supportive housing means that people check on you, that you have a sense of community, that your healthcare is active in your life, making sure that you're healthy. And that as well is a human right. Now, I do know regionally that there are vast differences in healthcare quality, and there are vast differences in demographics as far as trust in the healthcare system. And I can get into that further, but not right now. Ravenna, thank you so much. I slept with frozen water between my legs and under my arms. My feet actually swelled up to the heat. Wait, that was first. Mine did too. I have edema, and it was really bad. Here's what I did. Well, I made a TikTok video of keeping rolling cool, but literally it was putting her in the shower every 2 hours, just getting the water not cold because I didn't want to shock her, but luke cold, like right on the cusp of, but it's cooler than the air. Wetted her down, got her outside. Just I didn't even care about the mess of the water or anything like that. For myself, I do better in heat than I do in cold. So, but even that, I'd ordered an air conditioner and it didn't get here till this week when it's like 50s, 60s. I tried. But, it was knowing, here's what it was for me. I could rinse off in the shower. I could rinse my dog off in the shower. I could make sure that, I froze washcloths in the freezer. I froze her jacket in the freezer. But what it was for me and what really got me was I couldn't go hand out water. I take medications that make me vulnerable out in that heat. So in other words, I need to plant my butt and keep cool. And I know that many, many people who do outreach are also vulnerable. So that means that anytime there's an event that hits the vulnerable, it also hits our volunteers, which means there's less people out on the streets. And that means there's less people getting the things that they need. And so I sit up in my apartment this whole time and think about the people that I can't help and think about what I can do for them. And what I can do is get the message out there. What I can do is call for change. And what I can do is educate people on the plight and stand firm in human rights. I am just beyond tired of people thinking that there's some sort of argument. I hear the word lazy. I hear these self-affirming, well, I did this and I did that. Well, great for you. We'll print you out a little award. You can hang it on your wall and we'll help the people that need help. How about that? Would that serve it? Because it really seems like we have no problem with corporations and billion-dollar companies walking away with paying no taxes, yet affect our cities, right? Do you think that they're cleaning up their pollution? No, our city systems are, our tax dollars are. They're not doing that. They're coming in, they're using the communities that we built, and they're not putting anything back. And they're expecting us to do that because we're actually taking care of them. But then some people, and I'm not going to start, I'm really working on overgeneralizations because I don't like that either. Because recently I've been hearing a lot of this, nobody is doing anything. And I'm like, I can name 20 people right now that work tirelessly on this one subject. Please. There are people doing it. You just got to, do a little bit of looking or ask somebody who knows. Like, there are people doing the work. But back to it. We have to act, and we have to act quickly, and we have to act in a proactive manner. And we have to save lives. And I don't care who you are, what you've done, none of it. You deserve human rights. Check real quick, go like this and say, am I human? And if that's yes, then you deserve human rights. That's it. There's nothing else you can do to earn that. You just deserve human rights because you're here. And I can get into animal rights and environmental rights later because they go along the same things. But anyway, that's where that is. Okay, let me read through some comments. Venna, yeah. Marie, you're in Suicide. Love from Australia. Hello, love from Seattle. Hi, Mary. Mark's Adventures. It's 6 o'clock and it's 14 Celsius. Mark, because I don't know how to transfer Celsius into Fahrenheit because that's not a skill. I don't know. So if you could tell me what that is in Fahrenheit, I would know better. Jess, good morning. Ravenna, preach. Thanks. I really try to not be preachy, but I think the time has come, and I'll be completely honest. I was worried for a long time with my channel about coming out extreme. But here's the thing. In my life, I am controversial for some odd reason. I don't know why, but I believe in human rights. I fight for human rights. And when it comes down to it, I'm on the side of the oppressed all day long because I believe in working from the bottom up. If I have a leg that's broken, I'm going to take care of that leg before I run a marathon because it's ridiculous not to. So, but I'm going to be more and more vocal, I think, about some of the things that I feel very, very strongly about. Also, you know, I'm starting TikTok and I'm nervous because, you know, with this, sometimes this deep sadness, I don't know what to say. And that's where I've been now is because, you know, we're still feeling the effects of this heat wave, right? People are still dying because the effects don't just stop when the heat wave ends. Your cells undergo changes. Your heart may have been stressed. You know, there's just so many things, and people are really sick, and it's really scary. And our world we're on the track. This is what's going to continue to happen. There is no more going back to normal. We're forging our way to a new normal, and we're forging our way to a future that hopefully we will work together so that we can survive this, and not only survive, but thrive and build our, you know, we have the choice to handle this with grace and compassion and empathy, and by doing the right thing. And so if I can be part of that or hasten that along, then that's what I want to do. So let's see, I'll go back. Mama mode. Oh, you're caught in cyber traffic. Still watching the loading things today. Not going to give up. Oh, Nocturnal Explorer. I subscribed to your channel on a hunch, and I'm glad I did. You're quite thoughtful. Thank you. Ravenna, you're only one person, and don't be hard on yourself. Don't stress yourself, love. Thank you. I know that. It's just, I was telling one of my coworkers, I'm like, you know, the thing is, you never forget. You just never, it never really goes away. And, you know, I've come so far and I'm doing great. But that doesn't mean that every time there's not an event, I'm not placing myself saying, I would be so scared. I would be so hurt. I would be this, and understanding that that is like that for many, many people who are my neighbors and my community members. Because just because somebody lives in a vehicle or they live in a tent or they live on the street doesn't mean they're not my neighbors. Those are my neighbors. And for some reason, people are like, oh, those are the others. It's like, no, those are your neighbors. You should help your neighbors. Those are neighbors. Get to know them. Have a welcoming party. Let's see. Thank you for talking about this. Yes, here. Jessica, you're so right. Therefore, we'll vote for the Environment Party this year. The public health system should be improved to help the powerless too, who can't help themselves. Yes. And the thing is and I agree with you. And that's why, like, when I'm working in the sphere of human rights or unhoused or whatever, we're also considering the environment. We're also considering animals. You know, it's time to look at these things and understand that with climate change as the driver, there are many, many secondaries, right? So we have climate change, then we've got political instability, mass migration, food insecurity, pandemics, mass casualty events. And then it goes down and we've got the effects from that. And then that goes down, we got the effects from that. So sometimes it can be really hard to see the forest through the trees, right? So it's this understanding of like the interconnectedness and really focusing on not only human survival, because I say human rights and I say humanitarian, but like my organization being is about everything interconnected. And that's another reason that I love One Health Clinic so much, is because that as well, the One Health Research Project takes all of those into account. So it's super important that we do look at all of those factors. It's so important. Let's see. Andy, hello. I got my coffee right here. Zymo, money and power almost always have zero concern for ordinary and needy people. Help can only come from the ground up, and people like you are making great changes. I hope so. I really hope so. And I have to say that the more I work in the sphere and the more I learn, because I'm constantly educating and constantly learning and constantly just immersing myself in ways to make a difference and evidence-based solutions and what's working and what hasn't worked, and making sure that we're not reinventing the wheel in another fashion. So I think that I'm proud to be a part of it, and I'm proud that the work that we do now will save lives in the future. It's just hard when it's not saving them yesterday, if that makes sense. Human rights, you don't need you yet. You're looking really, really well. Thank you, Fun. Mark's Adventures, 57.2 is 14 degrees Celsius. Okay, all right. We're like right around low 60s. Nocturnal Explorer, you will do well with your endeavors. The world needs good people like you. Thank you. Laura, I am so freaking scared of these wildfires. I live in Canada. My city was the hottest in oh my God, my heart goes out to you. It's same. And I've been yelling about it and screaming about it to people, and I, not just people, but like departments and others that are in that sphere, that this is one of those secondaries that really is going, FEMA's denying help for so many. And it just like, we're getting to the point where we know that the impacts were caused by all of this. And we're letting classism come into play, where some people matter and some don't. And I don't understand that, because we all matter. Nobody can look at a person and say for a fact, well, maybe a couple, but most in the grand scheme of things, we're not future hoteliers. We're not psychics. Like, I could have never guessed that out of homelessness I would get to where I'm at now. Like, we can't say that one life is more valuable. We don't know what our lives hold. We don't know what their life holds. We just know what we see now. And that's not that's a perception. That's not even an accurate representation of what the struggles and the internal and the everything that goes into, that person. I think I kind of got, these fires are just really, I'm scared. I'm scared for everybody. Like, I got to get a filter for my air purifier because of the babies. It isn't just smoke in the air. Like, this turns our air quality, like, I don't even know how to describe how bad it gets. So Laura, my heart is with you. Please, please, please do everything you can to stay safe. And I say that with the knowledge that more than likely there isn't much any of us can do. So just know that I'm thinking of you. I don't know how to pronounce your name. I'm sorry. You're in Switzerland, in my area. Having an apartment and food is unquestionable legal right. If it's possible here, it's possible in the United States. This world is insane. I wholeheartedly agree with you. Thank you. Thank you for that. I keep telling people it isn't like this everywhere. We will get there. We will get there. It isn't like this everywhere. Like, I don't know why. I don't know why some get with the program sooner than others, but I know we will get there. And I am fighting with everything in me to make sure that that happens, because you deserve human rights and the environment deserves safety. And I know in this country, there's been a lot that is, things have been screwed up so bad in so many ways. But there's hope, and there are people working on changing it. So that's awesome, right? And I know some of those people. Mama Moda, Manda. Oh, whoops. That not forgetting is various based compassion, right? Right, exactly. Experience-based compassion. I usually call it trauma bonding, like in our circle, but yeah, that's a better way. Queen Crusader, a homeless man offered to have me sleep next to him. I'm not sure if I should be flattered or offended. I'm not sure. I guess it depends. If you were freezing and somebody offered to have you come sleep next to them, that's usually a very kind offer. I nobody I knew really offered to have me come sleep next to him. I had my own space, so I don't know. There were so many dead animals in my parents' nature reserve. Yes, and they're estimating, small estimate. In other words, underestimating 1 billion sea creatures were killed in the Pacific Northwest during this. It steamed our muscles open. This is not okay. And I don't know how people can forgive themselves for fighting against human rights. Like I don't think I could forgive myself if I actively did things that caused another harm. Let's see. So it draws us to you, your heart of love for your felon being four-legged and two-legged. And that's the funny thing. I don't know that it's love per se. I have a lot of love in me, but a lot of times I don't necessarily like humanity. We've done some really awful, horrible things. I have faith in the fact that we can do better and we can be better. And so I don't know if it's love. But I know that it's necessary. And so that's what I'm rolling with. If that makes sense. I come off a lot nicer and kinder than I actually am. Because sometimes I'm a jerk. Not like I don't go out of my way to be nasty or rude, but I definitely sometimes I don't have enough tolerance. And because if something is actively killing people that I am trying to save, I get really angry. Like I feel it real deep. Let's see. Not sure if you already answered this. Joined recently. What can the average person do to help, both long-term and short-term? Manreet, that is a great question. Thank you for the question. And yes, I've answered it a few times, but I think it should probably be brought up every time. First, no matter where you are in the world, look for, or if whatever you're interested in, right? So if you're interested in, interested in food insecurity, Start a local food bank, figure out what's going on to provide food for people who are vulnerable. Make sure that there's a good community base for if somebody in your community is vulnerable, there is not stigma associated with asking for help. That's what community is for. That's what we do for people. So fostering that sense of community is really important. Making sure that there are community gardens. Community gardens not only foster community and friendships, and they also feed people. So it's super important. If you are, always get involved in legislation. Okay. I know a lot of people say, I don't want to get involved in politics. I get it. You don't want to be a politician, but policy affects us in every scope of our lives. When I walk down the street and there are sidewalks, somebody put the policy in that there needed to be sidewalks. All our lives are shaped by policies that lead to the infrastructure for communities, blah, 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 blah. So what you can do is get involved in human rights legislation, okay? Right to housing, right to healthcare. Start advocating. What we need are boots on the ground, people advocating, educating each other on the facts, meeting people. Go meet people. Get some friends that are unhoused. Like, reach outside of the comfort zone and really reach out to those, and not just the unhoused, disabled, the my daughter says I'm mildly agoraphobic, which I get out and take trips, so I don't think so, but whatever. But check on those who might be, the ones that aren't getting out, the ones that are scared, the ones that need you. So yeah, get in any way, like, even if you don't want to get involved volunteering, carry some extra water bottles along. And if you don't have that, there's an app. It's called Shelter app, and it's a great app. But I think it's only United States and Canada. I don't know that it's in other countries right now. But if you download Shelter app, it'll give you location-based services, food, healthcare, housing, whatever. And so it's a really good app. Let's see. Zymo, you should be proud. Thank you. Laura, people were dying from the heat. It was scary because of the pandemic. Absolutely. It's terrifying. It really is. And we found as well, and I had to explain this to some of my colleagues, because we keep getting reports, well, people are turning down going to cooling shelters. I was like, listen, this is not an unhoused thing. There are people all over who will stick it out during hurricanes, during, events that, they're being told to evacuate. But the human mind is such that we're kind of territorial creatures. So we'll just hunker down and be like, my stuff. And that's actually true. Even when all you have is a few things, you will still try to protect your space and your things. And so we find a lot of people who believe, like, you're thinking, oh, it's only a couple days. I'll go jump in a river. It'll be fine. The problem is it's not fine for a lot of people. And so we're going to have to deal with that. And the only solution is to house people. And I know that people keep, I keep hearing affordable housing. We're going to build some more affordable housing. Here's my message. Okay, it should have been built a while ago. We've known these things were coming. This is not a shocker. This is just like, if you even halfway listen to like Al Gore or any of the other millions of scientists that have been like, hey, so you might want to know. But no, we didn't. So it's not a shocker. It's not a surprise. So we are going to deal with the housing we have. The vulnerable do not dictate housing prices. The vulnerable do not dictate rental costs. So why should they be the ones that are targeted and have to wait for us to build something good enough? That makes no sense. We'll use the apartments we have. Offer universal housing vouchers that are based on market rate. Housing choice, baby. with healthcare. And yes, I believe everyone deserves it. And I don't believe there's an argument to it. You can't, like, no one can convince me that people should die due to lack of anything. No one is going to give me an argument that's going to make that okay. Let's see. Alex Anderson, thank you so much. Can you give my girlfriend Caroline some motivation to overcome her fears? She has a lot of anxiety and PTSD from her military service. I want to motivate her. I think that the motivation, everybody has their own motivation for being. But what I would like to tell her is good job. Good job being here and going through that. If you have anxiety and you have PTSD, you went through something, and you went through something traumatic and hard. And so what I want to do is just send you love and let you know it's okay to just be. So I don't know what I could say to motivate you. All I can do is tell you that you matter, and keep going. Keep going. Somebody used to tell me that all the time, keep going. And I used to get so mad. Well, what am I supposed to do? I'm not going to keep going. But now when I see that, I appreciate it. So, Carolyn, giving you love, and I believe in you. I believe in you. And I hope that you believe in you too. My computer is about to die, so I'm going to get through these comments before it does. And if it does, then guys, I will be back later. Cabello, hello from France. Hello from Seattle. Mama Mode, Switzerland being so spot on. YouTube done there. It can be anywhere. Yep. Esco, sad that the people are lazy, stuck to their habits, and don't want to sacrifice some of their advantages. I think it's a lot of it has to do with the way, our society is. You get ingrained into, we believe the things we do a lot of times because that's what we were taught. And so unlearning some of those behaviors and unlearning some of those just immediate biases is really important too. Fun streams, you've been positive. So what I need right now, good. Mark's Adventures, trying to take on the insanity of this world as it will drive you mad. We do what we can, and the one thing that makes things is a system based on selfish greed. Is it right? Like, the one thing that makes things is a system based on selfish greed. Is it right? Yeah, but I'm okay with being mad sometimes. So, there's lots of people, we'll try to take on the insanity. It does get tiring though. And so there is definitely, we're getting, help with burnout and all those other things that are happening with everybody. Zach, I'm scared of what Portland will be like in the next 10 years. It used to be so cool during the summer. We didn't build city with heat, and that's my same as Seattle. Exactly, Zach. It's the one thing I can say is look at projections, and look at it with a thought of not panicking, but look at it with a thought of preparation. So, knowing that we need filter devices because of wildfires, knowing that the heat is going to be unbearable, knowing that these winter storms are going to come in, like Seattle, we're going to get worse winter storms. Knowing these things, we can help ourselves be safe. We can educate others how to be safe. And then if we're able, we can do a little more, make sure that, outside is safe as well. Nocturnal Explorer, Amanda, stay strong together. We will. Yes, I agree, Mama. I've told you this before, but this is time to say it again. Dear lady, you were the Rosa Parks of the unhoused. Thank you. Jess, our elder boy forced us to be vegetarians a month because he doesn't want an animal to be harmed. All right. Yeah, I have a daughter that's a vegan, and I'm an omnivore, so I eat and eat and eat and eat everything yummy. Mom, meet your neighbors. A sign flyer off a cup of coffee and a cold day, water bottle on a hot day. Yep. Neighbor, fellow shopper in a wheelchair cart. Ask, are you able to reach with you? Yes, absolutely yes. Start looking for little ways to be kind. Like, okay, so like, it kind of works the same way. Like I'm a very impatient person, like super impatient. So I had to teach myself how to be more patient because it was affecting things in a negative way. I was waiting and getting angry, getting aggravating, having my blood pressure go up. So I needed to find a way to be patient. So what I would do is I would stand in a line, and as I stood, I would let at least one person, if there was one other person in line, go ahead of me. Didn't matter how many things I had, go ahead of me. And I would sit there and I would sit with my kindness because it's kind, but it also was teaching me something. So I think that's a lot with, I had to look for a way to train myself to be patient. And I think that we can train ourselves to do more things and be kind by just really noticing our surroundings and looking for ways to be kind and little things that we can do to make people's day better. Holding doors. I like your shirt. Your hair looks good today. Don't comment on, like, you can say your hair looks good or I like your shirt. Like a lady was wearing one that's like, be kind or something, and I liked her shirt. But there's a caveat. Enough with the physical appearance stuff. Not you look thin, you are gaining weight, you look pretty, any of those things. Try to make it something about something that the person has done, like done their hair or picked out a cool shirt or have awesome, like some cute shoes, or they need the door opened, or just the lady at the grocery line. Sometimes I'll spark up a conversation and I'll say, thank you. Thank you for being here so I can get my food. Thank you for all that you do. And sometimes it sounds funny and I get uncomfortable sometimes too. I'm like, you're not. I'm like, I'm going to. You're not. I'm gonna. And I get up and I'm like, hey, you matter. You matter. You're important. And it picks them up and it picks me up too. So that's little advice. Let's see. Mark's Adventures. My member of parliament knows me by name as he's had so many letters from me. Whether US or USA, you have elected government, pressure your local government to do the right thing. Yes, Mark's Adventures. Yes, yes, yes. Get involved. Get involved. It's so important. The people who are vulnerable, like when I was out there, I got involved some, but it was very hard. I had to gather my food. I had to stay safe. I can't even describe how hard it is out there to do that. Okay, I'm going to have to wrap up in like the next minute or this is going to just shut down on me. I'm going to scan comments. Mary, I'm going to look up shelter app right now. Thank you. Mama Mode, Carolyn, thank you. Laura, I wonder is there isn't more housing. Is it a government thing or what? There's housing, but there's a difference between wealth-based housing. I'll get into that later. Sweet dreams. Thank you, Ravenna. Nocturnal Exposure. Sometimes we need solidarity. Absolutely. Malcolm, hello from Minnesota. Amy and Amani, hello. Henry, I got involved with my county's continuum of care last year and gave up feeling helpless that nothing was happening and how difficult it was to get anything done due to my efforts. Yeah, I have, it is very difficult. And one thing that I have found that helps is to, the continuum of care is good, but also get involved with your human rights organizations. Get involved with, like, we have like Resolution to End Homelessness. We have different shelters. Sometimes one age is like for us, like all home, this is a very fragmented system. So not everybody's like in touch with everybody else. And so sometimes we come upon innovative and cool things that maybe we didn't see before. Thank you, Manry. I thank you for downloading the app, and I thank you for just getting like right on it as to I want to get involved. This dream just gave me my motivation back. I just, yes. Thank you. Thank you so much. That makes me so happy. You made my night. Nocturnal Explorer, Alex Anderson, stay strong. Let time heal the scars. It won't be easy, but your efforts to reconcile never go in vain. Best wishes for you both. Absolutely. Mark's Ventures, catch up with you soon. Get exercise before taking. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Alex Anderson. I appreciate it. And thank you for the answer. You have family in Pennsylvania. If you ever need one, you'll never. Oh, thank you so much. You guys are so lovely and wonderful, and I appreciate you so, so, so much. And thank you for being patient with me while I worked through my sadness and was able to come and talk about it and your feedback, because that really matters to me too. So thank you guys. I appreciate you all. Sending love. And just a quick note, the Palouse Falls video, that was so awesome. And for Mama Mode and Noodles, I specifically went to Seattle Center so that you could see Seattle Center. So that one's for you. I appreciate you all. And you guys have a wonderful evening, and I will be back. Thanks. Bye.